The Russian cargo vessel Port Olia 4 had just departed from the Caspian port of Olia in Russia's Astrakhan region. If a Ukrainian drone could travel hundreds of kilometers to strike a ship inside Russia's own inland sea, then no port, no refinery, and no logistics hub could truly be considered out of reach. At 3:49 a.m., the horizon over Astrakhan exploded in fire. Residents woke to a sky blazing orange, as if dawn had come early. But this was no sunrise. It was a single Ukrainian drone, no bigger than a family car, detonating Russia's most secure supply line. What should have been impossible had just happened. One weapon, slipping through a fortress of radars and missiles, had struck deep in Russia's Caspian heartland. To Moscow, the Caspian Sea was untouchable, a safe inland highway where Iranian weapons could flow to the front. On board this latest shipment, hundreds of Shahed drones, artillery shells, electronics, cargo worth over $20 million. Weeks of firepower, tucked inside containers marked as harmless goods. Russian planners called it secure. But in war, confidence can be the most dangerous illusion. The ship was the Port Olia 4, a massive steel freighter, 600 feet long. Disguised as civilian trade, but heavy with weapons. Ukraine noticed. Satellite imagery didn't lie. Signal intercepts betrayed departure times. And, according to sources, a quiet tip from inside port logistics confirmed. This was no ordinary cargo. Suddenly, the Caspian fortress looked less like a shield and more like a trap waiting to be sprung. Shadowing the vessel became an art of patience. Maritime observers blended in with fishing boats. Satellites tracked its course. Radio chatter, intercepted near Turkmen waters, nearly let the target slip away, until Ukrainian monitors caught a coded transmission that locked the freighter back in sight. Like a detective tailing a suspect in rush-hour traffic, the shadow never broke cover. The ship moved unaware. Meanwhile, Russia trusted its fortress. Buk batteries, Panzer point defense units, and coastal radars sweeping the arcs of sea and sky. Locals joked the Caspian was the one front where nothing could go wrong. But overconfidence is the enemy of vigilance. These defenses were built for obvious threats: fighters, missiles, swarms, not for ghosts threading blind corridors. Ukraine's Gambit was ready. 2 decoy drones climbed high, deliberately screaming on Russian radars. At the same moment, electronic jamming pulsed from a disguised fishing vessel drifting near the coast. Consoles lit up. Operators cheered when missiles shredded the decoys within seconds. They believed the threat was gone. But that was the point. Distraction. Illusion. Behind the noise, the real weapon advanced unseen. For 90 seconds, Russia's fortress blinked. A seam opened in overlapping radars. The strike UAV, silent and low, cut through the blind spot. Briefly, a secondary scope flickered with its trace, dismissed by a weary officer as clutter. One human decision sealed the fate of a $20 million arsenal. The drone pressed forward, its shaped charge armed. The port slept, defenses distracted, the corridor open. Impact came like a knife. The UAV slammed into the engineering bay of Port Olia 4, its molten jet-piercing steel rupturing fuel tanks. A spark met a mountain of explosives. Hundreds of Shahed drones stacked inside began to cook off. One by one, they ignited. The fireball rose more than 300 feet. Windows shattered 12 miles away. People thought it was an earthquake, until they saw the glow. In minutes, warehouses toppled, cranes collapsed, convoys on the pier erupted in flames. By dawn, the freighter was gone, reduced to a burning carcass. The port lay gutted. Russia's secure artery had been cut in 15 minutes. $20 million of drones and shells turned to ash. Ukraine's cost? A single strike drone is worth less than a pickup truck. The balance sheet of war had been flipped upside down. Moscow scrambled. State media claimed it was just a warehouse fire. But satellite images told the truth. The vessel obliterated, Pier 3 warped and blackened. The Caspian was no longer safe. Ports locked down. Drone shipments halted. Reinforcements rushed in. Iran faced questions. NATO analysts whispered, if Ukraine could breach this fortress, what other walls might fall? On the ground, Russian crews admitted they never saw it coming. Ukrainian operators quietly celebrated a plan built on patience and precision. Civilians in Astrakhan spoke of the eerie silence after the firestorm, wondering what might come next. Beyond the flames, morale itself had cracked. Defenses once thought airtight were now questioned. And in modern war, perception can be as deadly as shrapnel. This was more than a ship destroyed. It was proof that the age of asymmetric war had arrived. One cheap drone, one shaped charge, and a fortress undone. If a port in Russia's inland sea can burn, what fortress anywhere is truly safe? That is the question this strike left smoldering in the Caspian night.